How you doing? This is Coach DeCarlo. Today we want to talk about a topic, the hustle. Now, a lot of times when people hear people talking about the law of attraction, the law of assumption, and various other laws, how these principles work, the outside world say, this person is running a hustle. They're trying to get over on you. They're teaching you something that really doesn't exist because in reality, this stuff can't work this way. Life doesn't work that way. I'm a realist, and what I know is that when the outside world demands something, you give it. Because, see, I'm a realist, and I see according to what reality depicts. So these are people who are slaves to the 3D. And to this world, we appear to be running the hustle. But I want to share with you a story. The rapper and actor Ice-T. Now, many of you probably don't know the OG, the old school gangster. You know, Ice-T was a gangster. You know, he was a hustler. And he tried to get away from that life. And he said, you know what? If I don't get away from this life, either one or two things are going to happen. I'm either going to end up dead or in prison. And he had a friend of his, Spike. He and Spike were on the same path, and Ice-T decided that he was going to get off this path. So his first option was he joined the Army. And he kind of did that for his tour, and then he, of course, got out. And he had to make a decision, what is it that he wanted to do? And he heard about this thing called rap. And so he started researching rap, and he started getting involved in rap, and he became a rap icon of his day. Now, he had some very profound lyrics, but some of them were actually controversial because, of course, he was damning the police. So it's really funny that Ice-T took on the role as a officer in law and order and has done so for almost 25 years. So why do I bring Ice-T up? The reason why I bring up Ice-T is because Ice-T said by his own mouth, he said his friends that know him says, you know what? You're running the biggest hustle ever. You're running a hustle that you're a cop, that you're an actor, that you're this rap star. And I knew you when you were just a gangster, a hustler on the street. You're running one of the biggest games ever, and everybody's believing you. But see, the truth of the matter is, it isn't Ice-T that's running the hustle. It's ego who's running the hustle in most of us. Most of us are not living the life that we have been destined to live because ego is running a hustle. And ego is telling you that you're far less than you are, that you can't accomplish those things that you imagine because, you know, you don't have the skill set, you don't have the abilities, you don't have the right color, you don't have the amount of money necessary to manifest the thing that you desire. And see, that's the hustle. We look at the story of Jesus when Jesus was 40 days in the wilderness. And the tempter came along and said, listen, if you be the Son of God, turn these stones into bread. And Jesus came back and said, listen, it's been written that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. What is the mouth of God except the mind of man? So whatever it is that you're giving your attention to, that's what you're going to outpicture in your world. But see, you think that the world without is the cause. That's the hustle. And when you understand that mind is first cause, you begin to unravel the hustle of ego. My mentor, Mr. Linda, will often say, ego has a role to play, but not running the show. And this is so true. Spirit is supposed to be running the show, but most of us have ego running the show. Ego's goal is to protect this thing called body. And especially in earlier times when we had to use our flight or fight mindset, ego was the predominant game changer that separated men from the competition or beasts. So what is ego's role? Ego's role is to protect you, but a lot of times in protecting you, ego will keep you locked in where you're at, safe. Ego will keep you comfortable in your discomfort to keep you from moving forward into what it is that you've been called to do. When it says that Jesus was tempted after 40 days in the wilderness, 40 is always a number of completion. Now, when we talk about, he says, listen, okay, if you be the Son of God, then cast yourself off of this high place. Has it not been said that God will give his angels charge over you, that you should not even bruise your feet? And Jesus came back and said, listen, it has been said, it's been written, that you should not tempt the Lord your God. And so, as we're talking about the high place, this is a high-mindedness. You know, when we start getting haughty, we get above ourselves, and we forget whose we are and who we are. See, that's ego's role that it plays. Ego keeps us forgetting that we're gods. Now, and I know that some of you are hearing this for the first time, and you're going to say, this guy's crazy. Listen, when I say that you're gods, each and every one of us make up this entity, the Elohim, the one known as many, called God. We are the children, as according to Scripture, we are the children of the Most High God. So, being children, we must also be offspring. So it says that we've been created in his image and his likeness. Now, that doesn't mean that God looks like man, but it means spiritually men look like God. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. But ego's role was to help us forget our true identity so that God could experience himself as you, in you, through you. See, when you begin to understand who you are and whose you are, you begin living a different life. But as long as ego can continue to make you feel that you are you, whoever you believe that you are at this moment, whether you're operating from lack, whether you're operating from abundance, whether you're operating from health or illness, love, or you may be operating from a place of hate. Whatever you're operating, you believe that that's you, but that's God experiencing himself, herself as you. And that's the role that ego plays. Ego helps us forget for this short duration we call life who we are. But for those who come into the awareness of who you are, sons, daughters of the Most High God, offspring of God, and you begin walking, understanding that as I think I am, then you become empowered. See, the hustle is ego telling you that you're less than you are. He says, listen, the third thing, he says, listen, if you be the Son of God, then bow down and worship me. And what I'll do, and what we're talking about when we talk about worshiping the entity called the devil, whatever, we're talking about when we begin looking on the without and believing it first cause. But there's only one cause, and that cause is in you. It says that in you he lives, he moves, he has his existence. Know you not that you are the temple of the Most High God? You are the dwelling place of God. But until you come into that realization, you continue to believe that you are this ego shell. It's basically a vehicle of travel for spirit. But it's not who you are completely. And when you take off this body, when you put off this body and spirit casts off this body and transcends into the next realm of growth, as it were, then you'll realize that the body wasn't who you are. It's like I was looking at this cartoon caption somebody had put out on Instagram. And one caterpillar was speaking to a butterfly, and the caterpillar said to the butterfly, "Man, you sure have changed." And the butterfly said, "Well, we're supposed to." You know, somehow or another, the caterpillar didn't get the message. Many of us are operating like caterpillars when we're supposed to be butterflies. We brought into the hustle. Most people look at Jesus tempting in the wilderness, and what they fail to realize is that Jesus was having a conversation with himself. He was battling with his ego self, and we gave it a personification and we called it the devil. Jesus could not be tempted by anything that wasn't in him. So the things that he was tempted, or the tempter brought to him, they had to be something that was in Jesus, and it's not wrong to be tempted. But I'm just making it clear that Jesus was tempted by his own desires. If there was no desires for those things, he could not have been tempted by those things. we can't be tempted by things that don't interest us. Somebody can shake, let's say an ice cream cone in front of somebody that isn't interested in ice cream, and there's no desire for that person. But if they put it in front of somebody who loves ice cream, then of course for that person there's a temptation. So my whole point is Jesus couldn't be tempted by something that wasn't in him. So likewise with us creators, we can't be dissuaded, we can't be hustled, we can't be tempted by that which isn't in us. So if we're tempted by those things, it means that there's at least a desire for those things. Now understand this. Just because you have a desire for something doesn't make it bad. Even that desire to be a leader, to find yourself in a place of excellence, is God desiring it through you. But the desire should not take first place. And this is the temptation when you begin to worship the without, and you forget that you're the creator of that thing that you're seeing on the without. We're hustled by ego, and we believe that those things are real. We look at things like money, and we say that money's the root of all evil. Money is nothing more than a tool, but the person that's tempted by money to use it for harmful means, then for that person, it's a temptation. But for the person that says, listen, I want to make as much money as I can so that I can bless as many people as I can, then money for that person isn't evil. When we talk about money is the root of all evil, we're talking about the adverse effect of money when it's being perverted. But listen, a hammer can be used to build a building, but you can also use it to break someone's skull and kill them. But a hammer in itself isn't evil, as we would all agree to. But it's the use of that hammer. So now, do we go around saying that a hammer is the root of all kind of evil? Of course not. We understand the use of that hammer, or the misuse of that hammer, gives it its purpose. So likewise with money, money's neutral. Whether you're wealthy or whether you're impoverished, what are you doing with what it is that you have? Sometimes the lack of money can be the root of all kind of evil when you're broke, busted, and disgusted, and you feel like you got to go out and hold somebody up. So we have to readjust our thinking about life, about what it is that we believe, because we've been hustled by ego to believe that the without is the real in this drama man. But the without is only the out picture of what it is that you've given your attention to morning, noon, and night. So as Ice-T discovered, when he began to change his thinking, then followed his actions, his lifestyle changed. But as his friend Spike discovered, he stayed on the same path, and he did more than 26 years in prison for his choices. And even in prison, there were choices that were being made that may not always have been favorable. Now, there's no judgment on my part. I'm only letting you see that two people had the same opportunity to make different decisions. One went right, the other one went left. Now, right or left does not mean right or wrong. We're not saying that. One went in one direction and the other one went in another direction. According to your faith, according to the direction that you allow your mind to flow, Creator, this is going to be your harvest. Many of you are perplexed by your life and the things that you've manifested in your life, but you won't go to the source, your thinking. And you say, well, I didn't think that. But you gave place to other things. You vibrated. You gave your energy to things or people that you should not have. And so either you thought for yourself or you allowed someone else to think for you. You were hustled. What I'm telling you is that you're the creator. You're the power source. You've been given to choose this day whom you will serve, life or death, poverty or riches, health or illness, love or hate. You've been given to choose. You must choose this day who you will serve. Jesus, when he was tempted, made a decision because he could have went the other way. He could have made other decisions. Are you being hustled to believe that your life, where it's at this point, is somebody else's fault? and that it cannot change until somebody else changes, then you're being hustled. Now, like I said, many people would hear about these principles, and they said, these guys are just running a game on you. But they don't understand that their thoughts are literally creating their life. And if they were to trace back their thoughts to its origin, and they would look at their current lifestyle, they would have to agree that I created this. We may not like what it is that we created, but we own it. But we can't be empowered until we own it. Once we take ownership, once we realize that we are the operant in power, once we begin to walk in our power, we place ourselves amongst the most powerful people in the world, because we understand as we think, we create. And we need only to change our thinking in order to create the life that we desire. Now, understand in saying that, this doesn't always happen overnight. Sometimes it takes months, sometimes years, but you become a different person. You begin to hustle ego, and you tell ego who you're going to be. You begin living from that end, and over a course of time, it will be so for you. But there will be those who remind you that you're running the greatest hustle of anybody that they know, because they're going to see your results, and they're going to say there must be a trick to how you've turned your life around. And the trick was you changed your thinking and you changed your world. Creators, no longer be hustled by ego. Decide who it is that you will be and begin living from that end. As you begin living from that end, all the world around you will begin to acquiesce and will begin to take shape, mold itself after what it is that you are imagining yourself to be, and so shall it be. But remember this, creators, that only you can create your perfect world. Not God or man. Only you can create your perfect world. This is Coach DeCarlo saying, until we speak next time, have a great and abundant day.